I don't care if you have to bake a cake for somebody. Okay. The key here is that you need to understand your client and what makes them tick. You got to listen, right? You got to really be a good listener with a lot of empathy to understand what is it that they're saying,
Right.
and let them talk. Because the one thing that we've learned is that if your lips are moving, you're not learning.
Today, we're going to be talking about the age-old question of, should I give my services or product or an offer for free when it can be beneficial for your business, also when it can actually be a detriment to your business? Hey, Madeline.
Indeed it is. Hello.
So often we hear business owners talk about, and you say, well, have you offered a free offer, or a free service just to get the customer interested? And they come back and they're like, I would never do that because I'm losing money, which is a whole nother question that we can get into on it. But I always find it interesting is that when we look at different businesses and different things that we are involved in, we've had good successes in offering free services and free content, right? So like right now as our podcast, we offer free content to reach more people to help them and get information that might be able to help them in their businesses. And then we've had other businesses where, boy, offering free didn't really work out as well as we had hoped. The conversion rate was greater when we charged something. But what I look at is a couple of things. First, you can offer something for free, but if you don't engage that customer consistently through the process of that offer or that service or that content, then you're not actually really doing anything more than just putting information out there or giving them access to something that they're going to try, but they're not really being engaged. And then the second thing is what you always say is, people don't actually pay for the content itself. They pay for the transformation that you and we deliver.
Correct.
So what do you see in that space on when is it good? When is it not good to deliver?
That is a really good question. From my perspective, I am going to tell you, okay, because I've experienced this and I have friends that are in the online business. I have friends that are in the private business, right, that they do services that are one-on-one. And, some refuse to want to give their time. They are tying it to their time, right? Not as something for them to be, for the individual or the client to try them and see if that's even a match. Now we can get into the whole lot of other things. If you don't believe it's a match, the onboarding process is always critical, right? I mean, I think that intake forms should be in every single business. That would allow a lot of different things, right? It would allow for you as a client to not just try things for free, right? No, don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. Are we a good match or not based on what you're saying? But here's what from my perspective, what I think that there's times, for example, this podcast, I believe that we are going to give information out there, templates of people that they can use right away and for free, and they can move the needle because these are experiences that we've encountered ourselves in our businesses and have worked for us, right? That's one. If you're in the retail side of things, right, in the gym, we've experienced this too. We gave something for free. People wouldn't show up or they didn't have skin in the game. Therefore, you know what? Oh, I forgot, right? And so that kind of like, that didn't work out. If they did show up, did I engage them and converted them in the first try? because that's when they're hot and heavy, and that's when they are in the emotional states, right? So you see the difference, right? I mean, this is a podcast is or something that you're giving online, and there are some people that do it very well. And I'll take Rory Vaden, right? And he does something very unique, right? He gives as much information out there. He'll email you to death, and he believes that it is about giving information because most people will not know how to organize it, right? And they pay not for information, yet organization. I would say in our case, people pay for transformation, right? And so they need to be able to see from this angle. For us to give free content and free things, it's not a big deal because A, we have to do this anyways, right? And second, they get to know who we are and the integrity that we put into our work, which is very important. From a retail standpoint, again, it's based on what kind of product you're given, right? And so if it's, for example, a sauna place, let's just take that, right? People are going to want to try it for more often than not. And a free would work because there's no really tangible anything that you have to give them. Like at our studio, they have to buy gloves, right? So that was a problem, right? Because they might, oh, it's free, but I have to buy gloves. Well, you got to do the class. So you do have to pay, buy. We didn't want to, because during the COVID, we didn't want to rent them and go through all of that. So it's not a cookie cutter kind of concept. You have to know and understand how you're going to show up for that client in the process of the trial, right? And the goal here on a trial, if it's a week trial, that you convert them the same day. That's just the way it is. You engage them. How could have made your experience better? What are you really looking for? You need to have a conversation. They just cannot show up and then just leave. That just doesn't work, right? That's just a waste because there's no stake in the game.
Great points. And I think to what you're saying is there's good times to do it. And there are some times that maybe don't benefit all parties involved.
It's not always appropriate.
Right. But I think that, when you look at, like you used a Rory Vaden as an example, the material that he puts out is really brilliant. I know because we went through it. It's very difficult to do by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, you could try, but having the guide next to it is great. And so, but to your point, I know that, as you said it, he emailed you to death, right? But literally, that's the engagement.
Yes.
Right? It's building an engagement process. And I think when people get hesitant, and I love the way you said it, they think they're giving up their time.
Mm-hmm. I
would ask, compared to what? Right? Because do you have the client now? Do you have enough clients? If you have enough clients, then the question is, how do you grow from that,
mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have capacity to bring more clients in, which ultimately would mean you potentially would be making more money? Do you need to hire? Do you need to do all these other things? But I think that the mindset is what's very interesting about people that don't want to offer things for free. And I'm going to take a stab at this, and then I'll let you. But I think when they look at it, they look at that they're giving profit up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when they think that way, they're looking at it as like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting paid. And not looking at the trajectory that, all right, the free offer, if done well, right, is probably being marketed in a lower cost to market scenario. Therefore, their lead cost is probably less. To your point, and I think this is critical, no matter whether it's an online business, a brick and mortar service, or, product, it's all about what you do during and after. Mm-hmm. And I think that the thing that these individuals do is they think, well, yes, we want to convert that person as quickly as possible and as many of them as we can.
Mm-hmm.
The question now comes down to, in what time frame?
Well, that's a good one. If they are monitoring, if they have KPIs in place, right, and really have kind of a standard, as we know, if they come back the second time,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a week free trial, the likelihood is that at that point you can convert them first day to the second day.
Yep.
If they don't come back on the second day, chances are that it diminishes the conversion ratio.
Yep.
Or something happened, and then it's up to you to reach out. I think after the third day, it totally drops the conversion ratio. It minimizes it, right? I mean, it just doesn't convert regardless of what you do. Either they didn't like you, you weren't a good fit, not you particularly, but the business itself. It's every business isn't for everyone.
Well, and I think that you bring up a great point. And one of the reasons why we did have pretty good conversion rates on our trials is because we made it so that they had to interact with every one of our coaches so that they would experience more than just one example of the product, right? And I think when you look at online businesses, right? So let's say you're giving you're utilizing a lead magnet and you're giving that content away for free,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that person that person that responds and says, yes, I want that, they may not convert right away. So it's a little different because remember we were saying in the beginning, different businesses are going to have different models on what you look at from a time frame of response rates, conversion rates, and ultimately what they're willing to spend on the product or service.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at people that offer free courses, right? They're not necessarily looking at that person converting after day one of the course. It could be a multiple day, could be a multiple week type course, right? But they have to be constantly engaged in the offer, right? Mm-hmm. And throughout the process, they have to be engaged. And to me, the more you get, the more sticking, and this is where I'm agreeing with you, the more on a trial offer in your scenario, it really comes to play. The more they come back, the more sticky they are, right?
Yes.
If they only come once and you didn't convert them, the likelihood
they're not coming back.
They're not coming back because something about the experience wasn't living up to what their expectations were. I think when you're looking at different types of products, like I said, like an online course or something like that, our expectations need to be a little different. And then you have to have campaigns that are adding value throughout that process.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I would tell most business owners that are hesitant to look at providing free offers, and especially when it comes to content. You don't know necessarily when they're going to be ready. So you can't just stop. So even at the studio, we would market them for months and months after that. Frequency would drop a little bit, but we were still keeping in front of them. And because you never know, and we always say this, we don't know what's going on in somebody's mind or in somebody's life at the time. They may have had the best reason to try the opportunity, and maybe something happened and they had to pause, right? And they didn't have time to reach out and say, hey, is there a way I can shelve this for a couple of days? But especially when you're offering an online product or service, I think people have to realize that conversion, while we would love to have it immediate, it may take a little longer if it's an actual content-driven thing. If it's a product, again, they may do the trial and they may, that might be a little more than I want to spend today. Then it's our job as business owners we have now the most valuable thing. We have a lead. They tried your product. Whether we delivered the right product to them at that particular moment in time is really the question. And I caution people that they immediately make determinations on the consumer, because the consumer may still be willing and wanting to. You may have proven all the credibility. You just didn't offer the right product to them.
That's a good point, because I was about to say, that's why the intake form, it's so critical regardless. I don't care if that you have to bake a cake for somebody. Okay. The key here is that you need to understand your client and what makes them tick.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it about? You got to listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to really be a good listener with a lot of empathy, right? To understand what is it that they're saying,
Right.
and let them talk. Because the one thing that we've learned is that if your lips are moving, you're not learning.
So true. And I think that when you do offer a free product or service, one of the most important things you have to develop is a really good and strong sales page, because it should be addressing who is this for and who is this not for, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times, to your point, people sign up things because, oh, it's just free. Well, honestly, if you're telling them, this is not for you, if you're doing this already, then this isn't for you. Or if you haven't done this, then you're not ready. Right. And then always be willing and able to have other offers. And I think this is where, again, a lot of people make the mistake is they may be intrigued about what you're saying, but if they now know that that's not for you, you could actually build a secondary offer for that person that doesn't match. But if that's not you, we have this, which is this is who this is for. Now you're giving them an option. It's not costing you any more, right? It's not costing you really anything less other than your time to create whatever that is, and really thinking through how you would deliver it. And so to me, that's kind of where I think a lot of times people make the mistake. And they also look at it this way is, if you're doing that as part of a referral program, like, a referral program, really, your cost per lead is really virtually almost nothing. So you're afraid to give it away because you think you're losing something, but you also aren't really spending a whole lot of money on it. So I think it depends on how you're building your offer and where you're looking for those leads to come from. Obviously, an online service, 99% of the time, is you're going to be marketing that online service. It's going to be a part of a post strategy, a marketing digital strategy, and it's going to be driving. But if it's a product or service that's, more localized, then honestly, hey, refer somebody to us. They can try it. I mean, now you have somebody that's in your world trying your product, and you didn't pay very much for that lead or, that opportunity.
Yeah, that's also a lot. It's mindset, scarcity mindset, people that think that somebody's taking something away from them, or it's they just don't understand business in general and how to gain a customer. But it's funny, they will go and pay for an ad to get a customer, but they won't give it for free if they can.
Right.
And that's a free customer versus a paid customer.
Exactly.
It's a really, really weird thought process, but hey, it is a thought process. So it's not a cookie cutter, bottom line. Yes, and.
So basically what we're saying is there are good times to offer it. There are bad times to offer it. It depends on your product, your service, and how you deliver. But most importantly, you have to limit your scarcity mindset when it comes to these things, because it's an investment into your business. No matter what you say or do. And, I was just thinking, we were talking with someone the other day, and they were, the new trend in a lot of the online content delivery is basically free. Everything is free, right? Ultimately building to an offer, but they're giving you tons and tons and tons of content and tools to use for free, with the idea that you could do it yourself. And this comes back to what you said earlier, right? Is they're not paying for the information. They're ultimately paying for the transformation when they start working with you as the business.
Right. But that takes also being ready to receive. If they're not ready, it doesn't matter. They can pay 10 times over. No transformation is going to happen.
It's a great topic for another episode. So we hope you enjoyed this content today. The couple things I want you to make sure that you take away is, one, there are good times to offer free content and free offers, whether it's online or if it's a brick and mortar product or service. There are also times you have to be careful. And remember, what we need to do is remember to remove the scarcity mindset from ourselves to make sure that we're making the right decision for our business. If you found value in this episode, please give us a 5-star review and refer us to anybody else you know that's an entrepreneur or CEO that may benefit from it, because it's the quickest and fastest way that we can help serve them just like we serve you. Until next time.
Let's get to work.